Welcome back to Brand Chops, the podcast that helps small businesses build strong brands and stop wasting money on marketing without a strategy. Every episode, we break down a key aspect of building your business with better branding into bite-sized, actionable takeaways you can use right away. My name is Zack Lemear.
And I'm Chris Duhaime. And today we're going to kick off our 12-part series on brand archetypes, which is basically a scientific way to identify your ideal client profiles and create messaging that hits them right in the emotions. Today we start with innocent. This is a great place to start because it's real. A lot of small businesses unknowingly fall into this category without realizing how to leverage it effectively.
Yeah, we had one episode that went over all 12, and the reason why this is a 12-part series is because there's 12 archetypes. We'll show you how to find your archetype, use it to connect with your audience. The key is to identify which archetype best aligns with your company's values, your mission, and audience expectations, and then infuse that into your messaging, your visual identity, and customer experience.
If you're interested in learning a little bit more about how these archetypes came to be, you can do a little research on Carl Jung's psychological theory. And basically what it's saying is that all people fall into these different categories of universal characters. Think of brands like Nike, which are the hero, Harley Davidson, which is the rebel. The archetypes define their personality. They guide everything about their messaging, their design, their websites. Everything they do marketing related is going to be based off of this archetype.
Right. And these archetypes are the killer sauce for all of your personas that you're making. A lot of people will focus so much on the demographics. I need a guy that has money and wants a boat. That's not really enough. With archetypes, based on psychology and science, we can figure out what they love, what they hate, what they're driven by, what bothers them, what they're afraid of, what kind of voice and tone that they need to be spoken to for them to feel like you hear them and that you're the right source. These are the secret sauce to all of your personas. But here's the kicker. Brands that don't have a clear archetype risk coming across as inconsistent or forgettable, which makes them less trustworthy. And trust is really the only thing that we buy and sell in this day and age. If you can't be trustworthy, if you can't be trusted, there's a million other options out there and I can go somewhere else. So I've got to trust you first. And if I don't have that consistency and I don't really understand, and you're not really talking to me as a person, you're talking to me as a prospect, it's going to go the way you don't want it to go. If you've ever wondered how branding plays a role in attracting those right customers and shaping your messaging, you're in the right place. So we're going to dig into what makes the innocent brand tick.
Yeah, so for me, the innocent brand is all about safety, optimism, simplicity. There are brands that focus on honesty, trustworthiness. You're creating a sense of purity in your messaging. You don't want to overcomplicate things, and your customers are really going to appreciate that.
Yeah, exactly. If you're an innocent brand, your audience is looking for trust, positivity, and a straightforward approach. They want to feel safe with your brand, whether that's knowing they're getting natural ingredients, ethical business practices, or just a stress-free experience.
And some of the brands that resonate with this innocent archetype are Cottonelle, Whole Foods. Dove's a really good example of an innocent brand for me. So it's something that's been in my life pretty much the entire time. It's the soap that my parents use. It's the soap that I use now. So at some point, that brand has been able to give me that ability to trust it. It's been transparent enough for me to believe that the ingredients they're using are good ingredients for my skin. They're not going to make me break out. So that's why I continue to use that brand.
Yeah, and they have that real beauty campaign too that's targeted towards women. It's a perfect example because they embrace that natural beauty and self-acceptance, no flashy gimmicks or unrealistic expectations. And then there's Whole Foods, which leans into the all natural, no artificial ingredients vibe, making customers feel like they're making a pure and responsible choice, which is why, and I'm a Whole Foods customer, why I pay more for things. I mean, it really doesn't make sense sometimes because I'll buy literally the same thing that I could buy at Hannaford, which some people might not know where that is because we're New England based, or I'll go to Whole Foods and the same exact carton of eggs or milk, same brand, same style, everything, $2 or $3 more at Whole Foods. But because of the brand they've created, people will pay $2 or $3 more. That's the power of a brand.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Whole Foods as well. So let's talk a little bit about the innocent brand archetype and who that appeals to. If you're running a small business and you're naturally falling into this category, your audience likely wants that simplicity. They want honesty. They want optimism.
Think about consumers who avoid complexity and stress. They love clarity. They hate deceptive marketing. So again, what I was saying before, this taps into what they love and hate. And that's so important because we're emotional when we buy. We're logical when we figure out what we're going to do, but we're emotional when we buy. So businesses that thrive under the innocent archetype should keep their branding clean, friendly, and uplifting.
So you want to focus on words like pure, safe, honest, natural. You don't want to overpromise, but you want to make sure that whatever you're putting out there means reliability and you're just going to be giving that good experience.
And don't forget about your visuals. Keep it light, soft pastel colors, clean typography, minimalistic design. Again, the power of archetypes. It can translate into not just your messaging, but how you should design your logo. No clutter, just simple, straightforward branding that feels welcoming.
Yeah, I think one thing you could really look at something like the Dove website and things like that. You'll see lots of open, airy space, lots of white space on their website. And I think that's important because that just gives sort of that it allows the website to breathe. It gives it that simplicity that I think a lot of their clients are going to be looking for when they go to a site like that. And so there's a catch to the innocent brand as well, though. You can't really afford to come off as naive or out of touch with reality because that's going to hurt you for sure.
Some brands lean too far into the positivity and end up feeling unrealistic or woo or disconnected. Your audience still wants authenticity, not an idealistic fantasy world.
Yeah, it's kind of like that person that you run into that's over optimistic all the time, and you just kind of look at them a little strange and you're not quite sure if they're just full of crap. And so I think that's kind of the way I would look at it is do you really trust that person or you feel like they have some skeletons in the closet? Another big mistake I think I've seen is just not being transparent enough. Innocent brands thrive on honesty. So if you're going to hide things or you get caught being misleading or having false claims, you're going to lose that trust instantly and you're never going to get that client back.
Yeah, and if you lean too hard into the positivity, sometimes it's unrealistic and it's fake and it's false. So it's a good point with that authenticity. But think about some of the backlash some natural brands have faced when their claims don't hold up. If your business is built on purity and simplicity, you got to own it, but don't overpromise. I owned a CBD company for a long time, and that was a big piece of this. There was a lot of stigma in the cannabis space with CBD, especially. There was a lot of snake oil in the cannabis products. And this is something that had to be rigorously tested for heavy metals, for which levels of cannabis or CBD or what type of cannabinoids were in there. But the point is that as a natural brand, you have to make sure that you're owning your simplicity, but you're not overpromising.
Yeah, exactly. So you're probably wondering, as a small business, how can you utilize this information and make it practical to your brand? So if you feel like you're falling into that innocent category, we're going to give you a few tips on how you can really lean into it.
First, simplify your messaging. If your website, your social media, your packaging, your print materials, if it feels cluttered or overly complex, filled with jargon, too much text, not easy to scan, strip it down. Keep your tone straightforward, warm, optimistic. Keep your designs clean, easy to read.
The second one really is about your brand values, making sure those are front and center, they're strong. Your audience really wants to know what you stand for. So if you're committed to sustainability or ethical sourcing or some simple ingredients, make sure that those are things you're telling everyone about.
Yeah, and again, don't forget about the visuals. Keep it clean, keep it minimal, keep it light. If you're claiming to be Dove soap and you're using black and brown and bright red, dark, bold colors or overly aggressive fonts, you're going to create mixed signals and people aren't going to really understand what you stand for because you don't really know how to communicate that.
Yeah, and I think it's really important to be consistent. Make sure that if you're thriving on reliability, you got to be consistent with that reliability message throughout everything you're doing. Don't be fun and wholesome one day and then edgy and sarcastic the next. Customers are looking for safe, dependable experience.
Well, that's true. And a good example of how this can work in your favor or how strong these things are, Axe body spray. They saw, this always makes me laugh because when they first started coming out and they saw a gap in the market, they're like, not a lot of men using loofahs. These pink, purple, frilly, spa-like, which is very innocent. So what did they do? They got a hard rubber tire looking thing and they stuck a black loofah on top of it and they sold it to men. And that's the power of these archetypes. Because if you know you're selling to an innocent, then you've got to focus on those different characteristics, the light, clean, airy, innocent text. But if you know you're trying to sell that same, you could sell that same exact product. It's literally the same thing, but they just put a tire and they colored it black and they sold 1 million of them. It's amazing. It's amazing how this works. So here's a quick recap. The innocent archetype is all about honesty, optimism, and safety. If this feels like your brand, focus on simple messaging, clean design, clear values to build trust with your audience.
Yeah, and just don't be naive or deceitful in your messaging. Make sure that you're staying true to who you are. Be transparent, authentic. Make sure you're always delivering on the promises that you.
Yeah, everything should always be promise based. If you're wondering what archetype fits your business, though, stay tuned to the next episode. We're going to break down the explorer archetype and how it attracts adventurous and independent customers.
Until then, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave us a review, and tell us what branding struggles you might be facing, and we can maybe feature it in one of our upcoming episodes.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Brand Chops, where we're chopping up brands to see what they're made of.
See you guys.
Brand Chops is brought to you by the fine people at Pivot Creative. Pivot Creative is a full-service branding and marketing agency that partners with businesses to build brands that connect so that every dollar you spend is an investment and not an expense. If you need some branding or marketing guidance, a website, a new brand, or want to learn more about one of the topics we cover on the show, please reach out to us at pivotcreative.com. If you know someone that would benefit from learning more from one of our shows, please share the episode. Visit brand-chops.com. And as always, like and subscribe if you find this content to be helpful. See you next time on Brand Chops, where we chop up brands to see what they're made of.